So I wanted to start the video off with a huge thank you to each and every one of you for letting this channel reach 20,000 subscribers. Guys, this is a humongous milestone that I never in my wildest dreams thought would be possible. So thank you all so much for it, and the 20k sub video will be coming very soon. Let's jump right into the new video. And now for this week's video, we've got ourselves a bit of a two-parter. So the first part of this episode will be content. So many of you guys have been asking, where's the account up to? Have I actually been playing the game? Yes, I've been at it, I've been training away. Unfortunately, with my work schedule, I haven't had a whole lot of time to play it in the last 2 weeks, but now that we've reached this 20k, now that we're practically full-time, we're back into it. So, part 1 will be content, and part 2 will be all about the drop tables and following up from last week's episode about the wiki. I have some juicy new information that you guys should be very excited for. So, I'll jump right into it with part 1 of episode 11. Now, for those of you that remember, back in episode 4 we completed Roving Elves and unlocked the town of Lita. By unlocking this town, I was granted access to both the elf teleport crystals and a general store that sold spades. These two items were key to accessing the rest of the underground pass, including the goblin cages and the ogres that I was training at just the other episode. But what we want to focus on is the goblin cages. In order to access the goblin cage, you must pick-lock the door first. Each pass through the door grants 3 experience. Now by spam clicking this door, I was able to average 2.5k experience an hour. This is my best and only thieving training method within Tirannwn. Level 50 thieving is a requirement for Morning's End Part 1, and therefore it's a requirement for the Song of the Elves, so it's something that we had to train. It was a bit of a grind, took me about 40 hours, but man was it well worth it. And there we have it, level 50 thieving. Oh my god, guys, that is so rewarding. I've been training this on and off for the better part of 2 weeks now, I think. It's taken me forever, or what feels like forever at least, but it's so handy to have. And it's the last requirement I need to complete Morning's End Part 1. We wrapped up the thieving grind, and now we're on to the next one, fletching and woodcutting. It should be a couple of seconds, and bam, level 50 fletching, halfway to 99, man, it's feeling so good. But for now, we need to get our woodcutting to level 70 for Song of the Elves, and we're looking to get our fletching level to level 65 so that we can start fletching yew short bows and making some real money on this account. So I think we've got another 15,000 or so longbow yews to make before we can hit level 60 at the very least and start chopping yew trees. So we've got a long grind ahead of us, but we're going to try and mix it up a bit. We'll break it up with some other skills and some other grinds because I'm not one for sitting in the same spot forever. But I'm going to spend majority of my time over the next week, which I don't have a lot of at the moment, trying to get this fletching level up. Well, what do we have here? A hard clue nest. Crack it open. What's inside? A banana plantation. Man, I should send that over to Ultima Time Verf. Rest in peace. We're looking for the hard clues in Tirannwn at the moment, so I guess we'll keep hunting. And bam, level 52 fletching. Ooh, it's taken a little while, a little longer than I expected. We're currently heading up at about 5k XP an hour at the moment, and I think we need another 150k more to get to level 60 fletching. I've been here for what in-game has only been a couple of hours, but it's actually been about 2 days for me in real life. So we're going to take a quick break from woodcutting and fletching, and we're going to head over to Lita. I think I want to start training my range level up a bit, and we're going to use the rest of the steel arrows on the elves and see what we get. We don't want to let these steel arrows go to waste, so we're going to try and train up against these elf warriors and just use the rest of them up a bit. It's some easy range experiences, we can just safe spot and AFK it, but ultimately we're still hunting for that rune dagger drop so we can have a new weapon to start training attack and melee stats with. On top of that, any hard clues that we get from these guys will be exceptionally helpful. If you guys haven't seen it already, go check out Verf's video on force spawning clue squirrel randoms. There's actually a few locations in Tirannwn that we can do this, and I might be able to get myself a staff of air, fire, water or earth drop. Any of those staffs would be massive for the account. And that's the first kill down. These kills aren't actually taking too long with the new range prayer, steel arrows and range levels, so I guess we just buckle in and enjoy the ride. And level 57 HP. Unfortunately, those green boys didn't drop anything that we're after, but we used up the rest of the steel arrows and that was the goal in the first place. But while we're here, we'll use the raking content to cheer ourselves up, because you know, raking content is best content. So staying on the trend of jumping between grinds, we've just come over to the Lita archery store, spent our entire cash stack on some iron arrows, and we're gonna head over to Wizards and start farming some runes and some range levels. Hopefully we'll make our money back and we'll have some left over for some easy magic experience. So you guys have heard of Ultimate Ironman Ingus, right? Well, I'm Ultimate Ironman Dingus. I completely forgot to record this maze random, but from my invent you guys can see I got a few death runes, chaos runes, and these juicy feathers. The feathers will go a long way for a quick and easy fletching experience, and the death runes are quite nice. I actually took the approach from some of the comments I read of maybe looting the chests in the maze instead of going for the center reward. Honestly, I don't think it was worth it, as the center reward is so much more beneficial for the account, and the runes that I can get from that will either go to magic training or be some quick and easy cash. So for next time, I'll just go straight for the center of the maze. If I bury these bones, I should tick over. Bam! Level 46 prayer. Guys, I'm getting an entire prayer level being here killing these guys. And honestly, prayer levels are so rewarding to get as I'm just burying regular bones. We unlock retribution, which, you know, not really all that useful, but prayer levels are always more than welcome, and guys, bury your bones. Honestly, the amount of experience I've been getting that was completely unexpected from just burying every single bone drop I get. Bury your bones and prayer experience is always guaranteed to follow. With this Eve of Bob event out of the way, that's 3 more of these events until we hit level 25 fishing. We're getting so close to it now, and then we can push our magic level above level 50 and we can actually start the fishing grind. Hang on. Wait, I didn't get any experience. Oh my god. I left the event. Are you joking? Are you kidding? I fed him the fish and I just clicked out of the dialogue. That's why it gave me the option to leave the event, not... Oh my god. That's such a waste of experience. Guys, get your sleep. Don't play RuneScape when you're this tired, please. Level 65 range, man, that looks pretty. Only 5 levels to go until level 70 and we can finally use the crystal bow. We're ever so slowly getting there. I've killed about 1,000 of these guys now and I've still got quite a few arrows to go. I don't think I have enough to make it to level 66, but we'll just burn through the rest while we can. We've got ourselves a nice collection of runes here and it's just going to keep piling up. I also think we made a decent amount of money from this trip, so it's all starting to fall into place. Once we hit level 70 range, it'll be full commitment to the fletching grind, but once I've run out of arrows, I'll probably go back to the fletching grind and I'll just kind of juggle it backwards and forwards to keep myself entertained and to stay as motivated as I possibly can to keep up the grinds. We finally ran out of arrows, about 10k experience off level 66, but that doesn't matter, we'll go back there eventually. We're going to sell off the blood and death runes that I got from the maze random event to see how much money we can make back, and I'm actually going to sell them one at a time and just keep hopping worlds until I've sold through them all. There's only 30, so it shouldn't take too long. We ended up selling off the runes, and as you can see, we've got about 11k. Unfortunately, wizards aren't very self-sustainable using the iron arrows, so I might have to swap back to the bronze crossbow at some point, but we'll wait and see. For now though, we're just going to finish up using these feathers that we got from the maze random before we go back to the fletching grind, and we're just going to try and get as many levels in fletching as we can before I have to stop and try and edit this video together. So now we make sure that we actually click all the way through the dialogue, we click the enter portal, and there we go. It didn't ask for us to actually leave the area, so that means we've successfully completed the random event. I'll be seeing you later, you stupid cat. And I think this should tick us over to level 23 fishing, I believe. Yep, there we go, level 23. So I think now we only have 4 events to go. It's something like 3.1, so it's just over 3 events, but it's alright, we'll get there eventually. We aren't getting many genies, and I haven't had a skill book or a genie in the last week, so I've just got to keep waiting patiently for those guys. But in the meantime, I have got quite a few of these Evil Bob random events for the fishing experience, so I'm not complaining because it's something that I do need anyways, and the faster that I get this fishing experience, the faster I can level up my magic level. Surprisingly enough, I don't think I've actually received any seed nests on this account, only hard clue nests. I'm not complaining though, eventually I'm going to get a Tirannwn clue. But this one isn't. This one's a banana plantation. I'll stick that in a bottle and I'll ship it over to Verf like the rest. But we'll keep trying. I mean, at the rate we're going, we're gonna get one eventually. So hopefully it's sooner rather than later, because I really want that staff so I can burn through these runes in my inventory. So I wasn't really thinking about this level all that much, but bam, level 53 Fletching. Now this one is actually quite a significant level, as it allows us to make the toxic blowpipe. This is actually, I guess, one of the first levels that we've got for our Zulrah grind, so once we get the Tanzanite Fang, we can actually turn it into a blowpipe. Not that we can make darts or use it yet, but you know, it'll be very cool to have, and maybe it elks for a bit, I'm not too sure. But 53 Fletching feels like a very big boy level, and it's going to be very useful. The next one we want is level 53 Crafting for the Serp Helm, but we'll do that closer to the time that we're ready for Zulrah. At the moment, we're just going to keep powering on, powering through, and we're going to try and get that level 65 Fletching so we can start making the money. We're going to get the crystal bow, and we're going to feel like an absolute beast. Bam! Level 65 Woodcutting. 5 more levels until level 70, and until we hit our first level requirement for Song of the Elves. Like I said, it'd be super easy to tick off and we're almost there. But that will actually conclude part 1 of this episode, the content. We're going to move on to part 2 now, talking about the drop tables and kind of talking about a bit more theory crafting. So I hope you guys enjoyed the content, and please stick around. There's actually some really informative stuff here about the wiki, some inside scoops on the drop tables that are on the wiki currently, and a few other drop tables and personal investigations that I've done and a few other members of my community have done. Before we get into part 2, let's call this the intermission. So I just wanted to say 2 quick things. First thing, I was humbled and honoured to be the 4th guest on the Snowflake podcast run by TirannwnOnly. If you guys haven't heard of this podcast before and you're a fan of everything Snowflake, go check it out, it's definitely for you. There's been some great interviews and he's a fantastic guy and it's a fantastic podcast, so I'd highly recommend listening to all of the episodes. Secondly, this is an executive decision I've made just over the last day or 2 while editing this video and finishing it all up. I'm actually going to take TirannwnOnly off the air for just 1 week. So we'll skip next week and then we'll be back to our regularly scheduled weekly uploads just after that. Unfortunately, after working full time, I've used up all of my backlog footage and I need to try and get ahead again so I can actually start delivering these episodes on time. Last week, back in episode 10, we made some shocking discoveries about the truth of the old school RuneScape Wikipedia. We had discovered that some of the drop tables I had based the account around and theory crafted for back in the early days were incorrect in some standard. For example, the Tyras guards don't actually drop green d'hide or herbs, but do in fact have a rare drop of 5 death runes, so there were a few pieces of the puzzle to fill in, and many of you guys rallied behind me to ask if you could help, and I really appreciate it. You guys came out in hordes asking if you could start getting kills, if you could start preparing, 1,000 kills of a certain mob, and what you could do to help. And that was outstanding. I can't thank you guys enough. The support was insane. But only a day after uploading, over on Reddit, I was contacted by one of the admins on the new old school RuneScape wiki. So as we know, a lot of drop tables on the wiki, both the old and new one, aren't exactly spot on. What is so game changing about this message that I received is that the admins of the new old school RuneScape wiki, not to be confused with the fandom wikia. If you guys are still using the old fandom one, stop what you're doing, move to the new official old school RuneScape wiki. These guys are working day in and day out to actually fix the content on the wiki and make it as up to date as possible. The fandom is no longer officially updated and you guys should move over to the new one. Plus it has a lot sleeker design and it even has dark mode for those of you that are into that. Anyways, this conversation that I had with the admin is monumental both for me and the RS community. So what the new old school RuneScape wiki is doing, in conjunction with RuneLite, is actually using the loot tracker plugin on RuneLite to track both the kills and the loot dropped from various monsters in RuneScape. So far they have about 50 million kills worth of loot and different drops from monsters all across Gielnor. So guys, go out there, start killing. You don't necessarily have to record it, but if you're around, turn on your loot tracker plugin on RuneLite. I mean, it's handy just to have anyway, so you can keep track of, how many monsters you've killed, what kind of loot you've got, how much it's worth, but also it really helps the wiki now. These guys are actually using that data to compile and redesign and reformat the drop tables for each monster. I think it's a monumental task, but honestly it's huge for the community and it's huge for me and a lot of snowflakes out there. So guys, get out there and turn it on. So here we have it, the infamous spreadsheet. So I only asked for the data on both Jero, Carl, Harry, Elf Warriors and Tyras Guards, as they're going to be my main objective for the next little while. The biggest one I wanted to know about the paladins is their drop rate on the steel bars for construction, and their drop rate on the iron bars as well. And from judging the kills here on the Tyras guards, my suspicions were confirmed that they do in fact not drop green D-hides, and it wasn't just me getting super unlucky. But if we check out these death runes here, it's about a 1 in 40 chance of getting a death rune drop, so that's pretty decent. I think that's around an uncommon drop chance, so I'm pretty chuffed with that because it means I can use those to kill Zulrah later on. When we jump back over to the elf warriors here, we can see that they do in fact drop a rune dagger. It's at quite a rare drop rate, but that's alright, we'll get there one day. We're going to kill plenty of them down the line anyways. And if we scroll down, we can see all of the different seed drops that they have. Now there are the occasional drop here that's just a little bugged, such as the broad bolts for example. They just happen to be on the death tile of the elf, and it happened to get recorded in the loot. But that's only 1 or 2 things here on most of the pages, and you know, it can be filtered through. It's just machine error that a human can filter out. If you look over here, these are all the different variations of clue scrolls that could be dropped from, that's what I'm assuming at least, and they're all different hard clue steps. So we are hunting down the Tirannwn clue steps, but we do know that they drop, along with some nice items on the rare drop table that appear to pop up every now and again. So let's hope that we get quite lucky with those. If we jump back over to the paladins here, I'd put it down to just over a 1 in 10 chance of these guys dropping these iron bars, so that's pretty handy. We've just got to get the method to actually kill them faster, so then we can start training our construction and end up moving on to herblore. But from what you guys can see on this spreadsheet, there's a massive amount of change coming for the wiki and a huge amount of data that's about to start getting implemented. So guys, like I said, get that loot tracker on and get on out there, help these guys out and start collecting your own data. Honestly, it's insane the amount of data they've collected. For example, these 60,000 elf warrior kills. So with over 50 million kills worth of data, it will take a while to finally get implemented and sort through, but it's going to be huge for both the community and for me. Now moving on to some other drop tables that I wanted to explore. Over on my Discord, I had some massive support from Voidmum or Elfbum in-game. They are also a restricted Ironman in Tirannwn that followed in my footsteps, and I'm extremely happy to have them on board. So they helped me out massively here by exploring different kills on stuff like zombies, goblins, and the paladins. One of the biggest things I noticed was if you come over here, this is the level 24 variety of zombies. They actually drop the tin ore, as it was explored on the wiki. But if you scroll on down, this is the level 13 variety of zombies, they drop the copper ore. This discovery was huge. It actually means when I train up my smithing level, I know what variation of zombies I have to kill to balance out both the copper and tin ore drops. I never realized it before, but man, it is fantastic. On top of that, the level 24 variety also dropped the Eye of Newts, whereas the level 13 variety do not. So that's why I was getting so lucky, and I know if I'm going back for herblore training, I just stick to the level 24 variety, or if I'm going for copper, I can stick to the level 13 variety. Little bits and pieces like this and the support from you guys is huge, and I just thought this was a massive discovery for my account. Now if we scroll on down through the Discord here, there was another set of drop tables that were explored, the skeletons. Now I knew these guys were meant to have an uncommon or rare drop of iron ore. It wasn't specified exactly what, as it was different on multiple pages, but I can put it down to probably being a rare drop, seeing it was a 1 in 500 chance of getting the iron ore. As I just had some positive news about the smithing grind, this is an absolute bummer, but we're going to have to see if there are any alternatives, and we'll figure it out down the line. We're not ready to start smithing quite yet. Some other bits of research that were done that were also very cool and very handy was loot from some goblins in the underground pass. Now, I didn't think I was going to be able to get a cape until I killed the Mourner for Morning's End Part 1, but apparently you can get a red cape from goblins. Now on the wiki it always said that you couldn't get the red cape as it was a specific drop from those in the goblin village, but Voidmum got one, which means I'm going back in soon and I'm going to get one too. Another thing undocumented on the wiki was also these chests in the Mourner's basement. One is a 50 coin chest, and the other is a chest full of 5 steel arrow tips, which means that's some handy fletching experience if I choose to camp those chests, and they give decent experience, about 9k XP an hour. That's almost 4 times the amount of experience an hour I'm getting from my current thieving method. So if I chose to get into the Mourner's basement earlier and complete those quests earlier, I could actually access these chests as a method of thieving experience, and for some easy money and fletching experience. It is very, very cool, and I'm very indebted to Voidmum here on the Discord. And if you guys aren't in the Discord yet, check the link in the description below, or check it on the YouTube or Twitch bios. Guys, it's a lot of fun and I have a fantastic community starting to develop, so if you guys want to get on board, you're always more than welcome, and I would love to have you guys. So guys, I think that concludes this episode and concludes all of the extra information that I've found over the last week. So I really hope you guys enjoyed it. I tried to spice it up and make it as interesting as I could. I didn't exactly want to split it up into 2 parts, but I know so many people were fiending for content, so I thought I'd deliver that first, and if you were interested in my progress and my theory crafting and research, you guys could stick around for the second part. So I really hope you guys enjoyed the video. I tried to spice it up, tried to make it a little different, so let me know what you thought. And don't forget to keep in mind, as I said, TirannwnOnly will not be returning next week, but the week after that. We're going on a week-long hiatus so that we can start to get ahead on content and start to produce these episodes regularly and as scheduled. I want to thank you guys for all of your fantastic support, for the 20k subs, and for allowing me to finally do this. This has been my dream for as long as I can remember. I'm so indebted to all of you. You have no idea. Thank you all so much from the bottom of my heart. I love you guys so much. I'll be checking in during the week. Like I said, keep an eye out. There'll be some different kind of videos going up, but TirannwnOnly will return, I promise, as regularly scheduled, and content will be bigger and better than ever now that I have all the time in the world to start working on this series. That's all for this episode, guys. Cheers.